Hey guys, hasn't been much of a week for trading for me yet. At hockey tournament all weekend, so yesterday was ODR day, also known as Outdoor Rink Day. Every year I turn this pile of wood into a skating rink in our backyard, and then every spring I turn the skating rink back into a pile of wood, and the cycle repeats itself. Wanted to do that on the weekend, but we had a hockey tournament all weekend and we're supposed to get a dump of snow later this week, so there's a little bit left to do on the rink. So I was going to trade this morning and just button that up this afternoon and take some stuff to the dump, but the Suburban won't start. Officially day off number 2 this week, but I got to take today and answer some of your questions and go through my feed and get my comments cleared. This is the time. There we go. Got a comment last night, Noel, that just made me hurt. But you know what? It goes to show you that it can happen to anybody, right? I mean, I could go and say, well, I just made that video and I told you so and yada yada, but you know what? It happened to me too. I'm not immune. I'm pretty well, I'm not going to say I'm immune now, but I won't let it happen again because I've had it happen before. We've all been there. We're feeling for you. Take a little break. You'll never let it happen again, will you? Right? So, happens to the best of us. Keep your chin up. Put those rules in place and follow them so the lizard brain doesn't take over. You're going to get this. Just keep at it. Also, thanks a lot, guys, for your feedback on social media platforms. I'm still digesting that. I really appreciate your feedback. And we're going to come up with something else just to augment things here. So, thanks. Now, B, fellow Canadian. Any tips for someone new trading in Canada? Should I be aware of anything? Your choice in brokers is going to be somewhat smaller. If you're trading futures, there are a number of discount brokers in the States that do accept Canadians. AMP, Iron Beam, Interactive Brokers has a Canadian wing. But I definitely like the discount futures broker idea because they're so much cheaper. Definitely I would go with an American account because the margins are so much less, the commissions are so much less. Just keep a minimum in your account to cover your margin because it's not insured. We're lucky in Canada we have deposit insurance up to $1 million. Yet any broker or any savings account, bank account, up to the first $1 million in there is covered in case the bank were to go insolvent. Not like that in the States. We're lucky. So I would just say keep a minimum at the broker like I do. Keep most of your money on the sidelines just in case you need it. And also if you read things about, day trading and short-term capital gains being treated better tax-wise, maybe so in the States, not in Canada. It's just business income if you're a business. It's personal income if you're doing it personal, which sucks. Tim McCarr, do I have a news feed on? Well, I don't have a dedicated paid news feed on, no. I do follow some on Twitter. And I don't trade based upon those, but I will sometimes get out of a trade if a piece of bad news comes and I'm long and I'm kind of wondering what to do. I'll just get out, bang. The other thing I find is it's very helpful just to have context. If there is a big move of some kind and there's a news event that pops up, then at least you know it makes sense and you know why it happened. So I do find that useful, but I don't, see bad news and go short or anything. Another question I get a lot. How many ticks on the micro ES? I use 4,000 to 5,000, it's been 4,000 lately. On the regular ES, the best thing that I do, and I've answered this a number of times, but I'm sure lots of people still have this question, look at the volume and adjust the tick according to the difference in volume. Last I looked at it, it was about half, a little bit less than half volume, so a little bit less, 2,000 ticks instead of 4,000 at the 1,900 and something, whatever. I think I figured it out a little while ago. It goes with any instrument too, really. If you want to take the ES at 4,000 as a guide to get a similar type of chart, look at whatever instrument you want to trade and then figure out the difference in volume and just apply that difference to the tick number, and there you go. And of course you can adjust it to your own taste. Wyatt Proctor, is your win percentage really as high as it seems, or are you publishing mostly winners? Awesome videos. Thanks for the comment, Wyatt. Yes, my win percentage is very high. I have published in one way or the other every trade I've taken since I started making these videos in the winter of 2021. So yes, my win percentage is very high. Why? Because I moved to break even fairly quickly and I don't hesitate to punch out if I don't get all the way to my target, and I've just gotten used to the market. I've looked at it for thousands of hours and I can pick decent entries. I have kind of a checklist of things I go through in my head for each individual entry, if I take it or not, whether or not it's kind of a setup. So I've just honed it, but the other thing is you don't see me with any huge winning days, right? I don't really have those. But I also don't have any bad loser days either. I've just kind of gotten myself to a point of consistency where I can pretty well pull out about 10 points positive a day, ish. That's kind of like, I know I can do that. Can I do 20? Maybe, but not necessarily. I know I can be positive in points pretty much every day, definitely every week. And I've just kind of harness that consistency to make my trading method a way that works for me, and it's, you know, easy for me to sleep at night, and I don't ever get too bothered. And of course, coupled that with a small position size so that any given trade doesn't make me sweat. It says, I'm only trading one pair, which is gold. I followed it for a year. Is it better to start following other currencies or instruments, I guess, or stay as I am? Well, gold is tricky to trade, but it's definitely tradable. I am all for sticking with one instrument, get to know that super well, and try and get to the point where you can trade that profitably. If it doesn't work for you, try a different instrument, but I would say stick with one until you can do one consistently before you look at trading other markets. T for trading is a good question. I've been asked this before too. It says, I see you like to go all in and all out. What are your thoughts behind simple all in and out versus multiple take profits and scaling into winners or changing risk per trade? Well, it's just too complicated, you know. I have traded with a runner before. What I didn't like about that was my results were much more up and down. So, you know, all of my losses were on, you know, a full position, and a lot of my winners were only partial winners, and I hated that. The way that I trade, the method behind how I trade, you know, the practice of my trading is all tied to consistency in points. I know that I can be positive a decent number of points, so that's how I harness it. I don't care if I get a big winning day with a runner that goes. I'd much rather give that up to know that every win I get, I'm getting at the full position. So I'm looking at net point. I want the point value to be the same regardless. Scott, always appreciate your comments, Scott. How much weight do you put on the tick stream when deciding to enter or exit a trade? Are you usually watching the tape closely, or do you mainly use the information shown on your screen in the videos? That's a good question. What I don't use, and I'm going to do this. Somebody asked me to show more how to use the DOM. I'm going to do that, but there's really not much that I use the DOM for except just click the buy and sell buttons. You know, the go flat button, the break even button. But I mean, that's just, you know, everything has those buttons. It's not really. What I don't use are the orders on the side of the price ladder, because those numbers, they don't mean anything. You'll notice if you watch it, there might be like 1,000 orders on one price level and instantly 100. People do, and companies do, park resting orders there just to make people think that there's a great bunch of orders right there to get the price to go towards where they want it to go. Maybe they're long, whatever. You're not allowed to do that, but people do that. You can see it every day. So those orders are not always real orders. What I do pay very close attention to is the time and sales. Time and sales is the actual orders executed. It's not just how many contracts at any given time, it's individual trades. So I can see some person sold one at this price and it was at the bid price or the ask price. I can also see when somebody sells 100 or 500. I have alarms for anything over 100 plays one tone, and anything over 500 plays a different tone. So I can hear that. So if I hear a certain ding, I know that somebody just made a 500 contract order. One transaction for 500 contracts from one person or company. That gets me thinking, okay? So, and I do just watch that. I watch the time and sales to see what the quantities of orders are coming and what direction they're going. I also look at some market internals that I have. I have the ticks open. I have the advanced decline. And I also have the VIX open on another window, which I don't usually show. I have before, but I'll show that again so you can see. So I can keep an eye at all those things, and they're just little filters for me to get into a trade or not. It's not like the ticks must be this high or I won't enter. It's just there's a whole number of things that I think of, and if enough of them line up, I'll take the trade. You know, the tick level was one of those things. Another question that I get fairly often, and a good question, is what do I have in the morning when I go to sit down in the market? Do I have any preconceptions or any, you know, overarching things that I have in my head before I start trading? Sort of. Number one, don't lose money. Don't lose money. Don't let your lizard brain take over. That's pretty much the number one thing. Don't lose money. My goal is not how much I can make. My goal is to not lose money, and however much I make, I make. That is the whole point of trading, guys, because you can't trade if you don't have capital. Capital preservation is number one. Number two is, have I done my homework? Do I have my cheat sheet completely filled out? Do I have a good picture of the market, what happened overnight since yesterday? Number three, do I feel good? You know, am I in a decent mood? You know, we got a busy house, a lot of kids to shovel out the door in the morning. I'm not always in the best mood when I first sit down at the desk. Am I not in a good mood? Okay, I take a break for 15 minutes, sit and watch YouTube, go outside, whatever. Come back, recheck. Am I in a good mood, good frame of mind? Yes? Okay, let's go. Same thing goes, am I sick? Do I feel sick? Do I feel wheezy? Am I having a hard time seeing? Whatever. If there's anything that is going to make it hard for me to trade, I just don't trade that day because it's a lot better to make nothing than to lose money, especially when you work to lose money. Francisco asks, what's your opinion on prop firms? I don't really have one yet, Francisco, except that I'm not convinced. To me, it seems like they have a good enough business model on their own with just getting you to continue to take the training and then do the trial, and if you don't pass, then you gotta buy back in again or whatever. They gotta recoup for the ones that don't work out, because probably most of them don't work out, right? Most traders in general don't work out. I haven't formed enough of an opinion to say one way or the other. I would much rather see you trade your own money the way you want to trade it, and that way you're not relying on anybody else. Kevin says, thanks for keeping the content coming. I did get the cheat sheet. I don't use it because 1, it's not in the Google format, and 2, not sure it's a ton of value for the effort since it doesn't provide any levels unless I miss something. He also wants me to show more about my setups and why I take my trades and all that. Okay. All right, thanks to your comment, Kevin. I have actually been trying to show more clearly why I get in and out and explain more clearly as I go. Of course, I'm doing this all in the moment, right? So I've got money on the line, so that's kind of my first priority, but I'm trying my best to explain things as I go so that you guys can get something out of it. So hopefully you're finding that's helping. I've got some people commenting that they're finding the explanations better, so I'm going to try and keep that up. Now on the cheat sheet, a lot of you guys probably had the same question. It's not in Google because I originally put it in Google and it didn't work because it would have that everybody was trying to share the same file. So it's only there as an Excel because that way you get your own copy. Now, if you don't have Microsoft Excel, no big deal. You go to your Google Docs, you import the Excel file into Google Docs, and then you have your own copy of it, only you use. Now, as far as the content of the cheat sheet, you might be missing the point a little bit, and the reason I say is the cheat sheet does not calculate things. It does a couple things, but nothing super big for you. The value in the cheat sheet, and the reason that I use it every day and won't trade without it being filled out, is that it makes you do the work. It makes you look back on the market since yesterday. It makes you go and find those levels, okay? Makes you take note of the highs and the lows, okay? The opens and the closes, and various other things, so that you physically have to go back and go through and see what actually happened overnight. So many people just sit down, plop, okay, I'm going to go along. It's not going to work well for you if you do that. So it makes you do the work, number 1. Number 2, you have all those levels written down there. You look back, you'll notice that an awful lot of my entries and my targets are at those levels, whether it be previous day's high or low, whether it be previous day's open or close, whether it be the London open, the London high. Very, very often you'll see me take entries and targets and sometimes even place stops around those levels. It's a bit of work. Takes 5 or 10 minutes every day. It's well worth it. Absolutely well worth it. It's just a way to, number 1, have those things at your easy glance that you can just look over and see those levels. Number 2, it makes you do the work so that you have an actual proper familiarization with the price that you missed and where the market has most recently been, which is where it's most likely to go in the near future. Nicholas writes, new camera looking much sharper. He noticed that right after I did the video in my garage about blowing up your account. Thanks for noticing, Nicholas. Yes, it is a new, to me, camera. I got it from a well-known Canadian YouTuber out west. It's a Panasonic GH5. Absolutely horrible autofocus, unusable, but real sharp if you can just set it and forget it. Appreciate that. This, incidentally, is the DJI Pocket 2. This is the GH5. And now it's hockey time. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching. Questions and comments down there. daytradernextdoor.com. Have a great day and I'll see you soon.